This is Co-op HD1 HD3 Hornsby, radio for people, not for profit. Welcome to Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show. Each week, we explore how your library is more than books. The library is knowledge, technology, and inspiration for our community. Hello, I'm Kanya Lyons, and I will be your host. Today on the show, we have Vanessa Bizareth, who is an administrative assistant at the Windsor Park branch. First, we're going to talk a little bit about Vanessa's background and her job, and then we're going to take a little break, talk about, after the break, we're going to talk about Author's Corner, which is a short fiction writing workshop that she's organizing that's for very serious writers. And then at the very end of the show, our volunteer, Sev Corson, will tell us about his summer reading. So, but let's start out with Vanessa Bizareth from the Windsor Park branch. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hi, Kanya. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming into the studio. So, we were just talking before the show started, actually, and I was asking you, you grew up, you didn't actually grow up in Austin. You moved here when you were 13. You were originally from where, you said?
I was born and raised in Haiti up until I was 13, and I immigrated here with my family.
Oh, that's so exciting. And then you wound up, like, your home branch, you used the Windsor Park branch starting at about that time when y'all moved here.
Yeah, we moved around the area, and to help us assimilate into American culture, they introduced us to a library, and Windsor Park happened to be the library.
That's awesome. And so what was the culture shock like at that age?
I guess everything in one location. Growing up in Haiti, everything's it's separated, and your neighbors are miles and miles away. And I guess grocery stores, having a place where all the books were in the same place.
That's pretty cool. So what was your favorite thing about the Windsor Park branch when you were going there as a teenager?
Probably the lion that sits in the front of the building.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome lion.
Yeah.
And what kinds of things did you like to do at the library?
Well, they taught me how to, first I got a library card. They taught me how to check out books, how to look by specific authors and genres, the difference between a full-blown novel versus a short story, and how to use the computers, of course. But I always preferred books.
Yeah? What kind of books do you like to read?
I will read almost anything, but even at 13, I knew that I like short stories better than full-blown novels. I always preferred the mini adventures over the full-blown ones. Yeah,
does it leave you wanting more, or what is it about it that do you think that engages you the most or so much?
I guess because it doesn't really have an ending. Short stories are pretty open-ended. You can finish them on your own, or they continue on your own. Yeah. So for those listeners who are just joining us, this is Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show on Co-op 91.7 FM and koop.org. And information about our show is at library.austintexas.gov/volumes. We're talking with Vanessa Bizareth, who's an administrative assistant at the Windsor Park branch. And so Vanessa, back to our conversation, what then inspired you, as you transitioned from teenagehood into adulthood, what inspired you to want to come and work at the library? Well, growing up in Haiti, the resources were really scarce, but we had missionaries who would come from different countries. We had American missionaries who came, and they brought books and movies. And I always preferred the books that they brought. I liked trying to read. I mean, they were in English, but I got read too, and I love them since then, and I knew I wanted to be in a place where I could be near books.
And so you said they were in English, so what was your first language? What?
Oh, Haitian Creole and French.
Ah, so what was it like? Had you already started learning English before you immigrated here, or did you have to start from zero?
No, I started learning English in Haiti, but when I got my first book, it was nothing like I had been learning in school.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's so true. So, well, moving on a little bit more. So, now that you've been at the library, we were just talking about it, about 2 years now?
About 2 years, though it's felt longer.
So, well, I guess because you were already there all the time as a customer, and then, what do you do at the Windsor Park branch? Like, what kinds of things do customers ask you about, or what kinds of things do you do on a typical day?
Well, typically I push books in people's faces. I'm like, read this, get this. This is what you need to delve into. This is the next adventure. Here you go. I'm that kind of employee.
Awesome. People should be encouraged to read, I think. Well, so what inspired you? You're here to talk about the Author's Corner, and we're going to have a little break in just a minute, and then we'll get back and we'll really get into the nitty-gritty of it. But tell me a little bit about this 6-month short fiction workshop that you're organizing for writers.
So when I had an elective in college, and I picked a creative writing course, and it was taught by Adina Reitberger, and she is an author herself, and she works for American Short Fiction. It's a literary online magazine. And just being a part of the creative writing program in her classroom was one of the most amazing experiences I ever had. It was a small, intimate group of 13, and we read each other's pieces. We criticized openly. We shared our adventures, our stories, and got feedback on it. And I wanted to bring that into the Windsor Park Branch Library.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I can't wait to hear more about that. So the model that you're using here at the program at the library, it will also be limited to 13 participants. And you're looking for like serious writers of short fiction?
Yes, just dedicated writers who want to get their voices out there, share their craft with people, engage the public in adventures like, the authors you pick up at our library.
That's great. Yeah, and this is not like a drop-in thing. This is like you better be committed to taking this 6 month and like be really invested in your writing and seeing it through to the finish. I can't wait to talk more about that. We are going to do a little segment here where we're going to listen to an excerpt from episode 11 of Oral Literature, which is one of the library's podcasts. Poets Jen Knox and Ellie Francis Douglas and Alexandra Van de Kamp are going to read some of their poetry, and then after that we'll get back to this discussion with Vanessa Bizareth about Author's Corner.
This is Jen Knox. Polygon. Branches thwack the pocked metal roof. My car windows are smashed and I sweep shards from the seat before sitting behind the wheel. Boots crunch pedals. A warning hums and I watch, dazed, as neighbors rush to close doors and cover cars with mattresses. The hail returns. 2 weeks later, we walk along the river with hands clasped, fingers held together like mittens. We are not cold, we are comfort. I always forget my sunglasses, and you always bring an extra pair, a ridiculous pair. Today, a red and black checkered frame, clunky readers that you position on the bridge of my nose above my ears. They wobble as you kiss my cheek.
I'm Ellie Francis Douglas. I'm a San Antonio poet. Distance. You lifted the oxygen mask from your face to say, "Don't be sad too long." But my mind lingered in the hospital. Every room became that room. You, yellow and shiny as a wooden chair, materialized in the corner. Those blue eyes, invaded by fog, fixed on me. Looking into your eyes was like riding an airplane through a cloud I knew would never end. You came everywhere with me, like this.
My name's Alexandra Van de Kamp. I'm a San Antonio poet, originally from New York. Happy to be here in Texas. Dear V, Dear Vellum, Dear Viceroy, Dear Vermeer, and the eerie light that can be found edging around our lives. The missing persons spilling out of our mail each night. The broken neon glow of a highway I once drove on my way to a 12-egg omelet, folded into a neat blanket, perched softly on my plate. Landscapes pile up in a life. Not India, not Africa, but Venice. Its ankle-deep waters I splashed through after a storm. Or the cloisters in Upper Manhattan, all medieval France and Spain tucked inside a verdant estate, not far off the squeaking brakes of the MTA. Dear Venezuela, dear will I ever get out of here? A cage is a place our lungs breathe out of, each breath a missive to the sky above.
Support comes from East Side Pies, local pizza with local ingredients. 3 locations around Austin: East Side off Rosewood, Airport and 53rd, and Anderson Lane. Take out or eat in. Online ordering now available at eastsidepies.com.
You're listening to Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show on Co-op 91.7 FM and KOOP.org. Radio for people, not for profit.
The promo you're about to hear is a collaboration between the Austin Public Library's Rooster Teeth's Elizabeth Maxwell and teen library patron Adele.
Oh dear, I've lost the white rabbit again. Where am I now?
Hey, are you lost too?
Oh, hello. Yes, I'm afraid I've lost my way. Who are you?
That caterpillar back there just asked me the same question. Anyway, hi, I'm Jane.
Hello, Jane. I'm Alice. Are you from Wonderland too?
No, just visiting like you. Pretty neat place.
You're not mad then?
No, but you might be. This dream of yours is pretty crazy.
Dream? I'm dreaming?
Oh, sorry. Spoilers.
Looking for an adventure? Your Austin Public Libraries have pages and pages to fall into. And with the summer reading program, there's even more to explore with exciting events and cool prizes. Adventure begins with a book this summer at the Austin Public Libraries. More details are available at www.austinsummerreading.org.
My name is Blair Parsons, and I'm a reference librarian at the Falk Central Library. Each week, I highlight a few programs for adults that are happening around the Austin Public Library. Our full list of programs may be found on the library's events calendar. The St. John Branch Library invites chess players of all ages to their monthly chess club. Beginners are welcome and can learn the game alongside more advanced players. The St. John Chess Club meets the first Thursday night of each month. The next meeting is 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., Thursday, July 6th, at the St. John Branch Library. Sunday, July 9th, the Falk Central Library will host a quilt trunk show. Quilter and author Janella Macbeth will be in town to display a trunk show of her completed quilts and discuss various quilting techniques. Janella is particularly keen on repurposing fabric scraps from previous projects. The quilt trunk show begins at 3 p.m., Sunday, July 9th, at the Falk Central Library.
Before those announcements, we listened to poets Jen Knox, Ellie Francis Douglas, and Alexandra Vandekamp in an excerpt from episode 11 of Oral Literature, which is a series that is part of the library's podcast, the complete oral literature podcast collection, and many more podcasts can be found on the library's SoundCloud and iTunes accounts. Details at library.austintexas.gov. And now we're going to get right back into our conversation with Vanessa Bizareth. It was just getting good. We're talking about a writing workshop for serious short fiction writers, which is taking place at the Windsor Park branch starting in September. And so welcome back, Vanessa.
Hi.
Hey, so what kinds of things are writers going to learn in this workshop?
So the writers will learn to strengthen their techniques, expand their crafts. I guess it's sort of like a small community for writers where everybody's interested in the same thing you are, no matter what genre you're writing about. You always have that support and people encouraging you to continue crafting.
Excellent. So everyone will be, I think you mentioned earlier in the interview, they'll be reading each other's work and working to improve. They'll have one story that they work on throughout this 6-month series. Is that how it's going to work?
Yes, they will participate with one story and we'll expand it with every meeting. We'll edit it, we'll talk about it, we'll shape it and mold it until it's done and it's, what they want it to be.
Kind of hone it down. And then one of your goals is to actually publish a little booklet with everyone's stories in it at the end of this program. Is that right?
Yes, we will publish for everyone who is able to participate. We'll publish it in a sort of like our own Austin Public Library book, but it's going to be the works of our patrons, our customers who want to share their work, like Stephen King or James Patterson. It's going to circulate in all of the 21 branches. Excellent.
And so if you're just joining us, this is Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show on Co-op 91.7 FM and koop.org. Details at library.austintexas.gov/volumes. We're talking with Vanessa Bizareth. She is an administrative assistant at the Windsor Park branch. And we're talking about this Author's Corner series of workshops for serious writers. And so if someone is interested in participating, it's important to find out if they're going to be available. So I know we mentioned that they're going to start in September, but when will they take place? Like what day of the week, what time would people need to have available?
It would be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and it would be every second and third Saturday of the month starting in September. So
two Saturdays a month. That's not too huge of a commitment. 2 hours a Saturday, not bad. And then it's September all the way through December.
Yes. So
nice.
The whole 6 months. Hopefully they get there and they're like 2 hours isn't enough.
Well, so what do interested writers how can they apply to participate?
There is a link for it on the Austin Public Library website. And also they could call into the Windsor Park Branch Library and ask for either Vanessa Bizareth or Sean Godfrey.
Okay, and so the library's web address with information about that is library.austintexas.gov/Authors Corner, and there is no apostrophe in authors. It's all one word, Authors Corner. And there's a link there for people to submit a writing sample because we want serious writers. So people need to plan ahead, write something really good to impress the review team, and then submit it with that sample. And so you are limited to
13 seats.
13 seats. And that's so you were explaining, to get really kind of an intimate support group where you can have time to read everyone's work, read each other's work.
So there's enough time to flesh out the stories. And so we take the time that we need to be able to dedicate to each piece of work.
That's fantastic. And so anyone in the community, anyone in the public can submit their writing if they're interested, if they're a serious writer who writes short fiction?
Yes, it's open to the public. Anybody can submit.
Awesome. And so when is the deadline?
The deadline for submissions is August 1st. Since the workshop starts September 2nd, I'm pretty sure, we want to have enough time to really go through the works with sincerity and pick the 13 participants.
That makes a lot of sense. So if people want to participate, they should get their entries in by August 1st. That means they probably should start writing soon. And I was looking at the dates just to check. It looks like September 16th and September 23rd would be the first two meetings of this group. And again, that's for writers who submit their work and get accepted, and there is a limit of 13 writers to this group. But, if this is successful, who knows? We might try doing it again.
Yeah, hopefully. We can keep doing it after the first initial workshop if people are still interested.
So as a writer, going into something like this, is it a little bit, like you said you did this same type of format with Adina Reitberger in a class. Is it is it intimidating a little bit, like going into a group of strangers and sharing your work and kind of opening up, or was it easy? Did you find it easier than you expected?
No, initially it is nerve-wracking because you want people to like what you've written, what you've taken time out of your day to work on. But I mean, eventually you get into the idea that, you know, they're here to help you expand your work, make it more than you thought it could be, push you far beyond what you initially wrote. A story can be anything. And with this creative writing class I took and this workshop, we'll hopefully show you that it can go anywhere.
Awesome. And so are the writers going to be encouraged to take the work that they submit in order to get accepted into this workshop? Will they take that story and work it through the process, or is that just to get in and then will they write a new one from scratch in this workshop?
It could be either or. We just want to see that you want to write, that you want to be a part of it, that you're taking the time to submit and put yourself out there.
Fantastic. That's so amazing. And once again, I just wanted to remind people we're talking to Vanessa Bizareth, and she works at the Windsor Park branch, and we are talking about a writing workshop called Author's Corner that will be taking place starting in September, although entries are going to be due August 1st. We're getting close to the end of our segment. Is there anything else that you wanted to share about this program or about the types of things you want to make sure the interested writers know before they get involved?
Probably just to express that there will now be a community of like-minded individuals who want to share their works with you and read your works and be a part of your storytelling and experience what it means to write.
That sounds amazing. Once again, just to summarize, this is going to go over the techniques of short fiction writing, crafting narratives, and basically what you were saying at the very beginning of our interview. You have to do kind of everything that you do in a big story, in a novel, but with a lot less time. So you have to be really, really precise, right? And kind of leave some stuff up to the reader's imagination.
Yes.
Awesome. Additional details at library.austintexas.gov/authors corner. That's all the time we have in this segment, but the show's not over yet. Are there any parents looking for fun things to do with their kids? We have two of our expert youth librarians here to tell us about upcoming events for children and teens at the Austin Public Library.
This is Ann Minner, youth librarian at the Old Quarry Branch. I get to highlight something special happening for children this week. On Sunday, July 9th, Recycled Reads is hosting Storybook Dance Making at 2 p.m. This class is taught by artists of Dance Waterloo, an interdisciplinary dance collective in Austin. This program brings music, dance, and reading books together in one big activity. Participants will work together to create a dance based on a story's theme. This family dance education class is best for families with children ages 4 through 8, and parent-caregiver participation is highly encouraged. That's Storybook Dance Making at Recycled Reads, Sunday, July 9th at 2 p.m. Details about the Storytime schedule that continues through July are at library.austintexas.gov/storytimes.
Hey there, Austin! Teen Program Specialist Michael Harley from the Downtown Falk Central Library here. Well, you might think the library is just for books. We're way more than that. We love media of all kinds here, and that includes video games. This week, the controllers come out for the Super Smash Bros. Tournament, where players face off to see who will be crowned tournament champion at the end of the summer. We have multiple matches this week at the Willie Mae Kirk branch on Thursday, July 6th, the Carver branch on Saturday, July 8th, and the Millwood branch on Tuesday, July 11th. Each tournament begins at 2 p.m., and the first 32 signups are guaranteed a spot to play. If players don't claim victory at one branch, they can try again at another. More details for these and additional programs can be found at library.austintexas.gov/events. More details for Teen Summer Reading can be found at austinsummerreading.org.
Start your weekend with the Dead every Saturday at 9 a.m. with Graveside Service, the show of music and fun about dead celebrities. Heard only on your community radio station, KOOP, Hornsby, Austin.
The promo you're about to hear is a collaboration between the Austin Public Library's Rooster Teeth's Elizabeth Maxwell and teen library patron Aaliyah. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks?
So you're Romeo?
Is it my lady? Oh, is it my love? Juliet, the sun?
Close. My friends just call me Julie. This is my first time reading Shakespeare.
I know not of what she speaks.
I like the way you speak. I could really get into this stuff.
Oh, speak again, bright angel.
Yep, I could definitely get used to this. Looking for an adventure? Your Austin Public Libraries have pages and pages to fall into. And with the summer reading program, there's even more to explore. With exciting events and cool prizes, adventures begin with the book this summer at the Austin Public Libraries. More details at www.austinsummerreading.org.
This is Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show on Co-op 91.7 FM and koop.org. Details at library.austintexas.gov/volumes. Next up, Sev Corson, our Volumes volunteer assistant producer, is going to tell us about his summer reading. 2 nonfiction books framed as detective stories on the topics of photography and media analysis. Take it over, Sev.
Thank you, Kanya. As an artist, I've been a longtime fan of the huge treasure trove of art and photography books on the 3rd floor of the Falk. And my last visit, my summer reading hall was about 7 books, and it weighed about 27 pounds. So there was a whole bunch of content there. But as Kanya mentioned, my selection I want to talk about today are 2 really fascinating nonfiction books on media analysis and the history of photography. And the authors of both books completed extensive detective work and travel to remote locations to investigate different kinds of background stories on documentary content that was presented and accepted as like journalistic documentary evidence, but sometimes was actually manipulated content. The first book is by the documentary filmmaker Errol Morris, and it's called Believing is Seeing: Observations on the Mysteries of Photography. And his work is really interesting. For a long time, he's challenged sort of traditional documentary filmmaking and in his work. And this book is a series of essays on several famous documentary photographs and the extensive research he did to identify the people and the places and kind of the background stories captured in the images that are quite famous. He investigates several really well-known photographs from the 1850s to the present time, and some of them he kind of, by doing some of the detective work, he figured out that some of the details have been kind of moved around in the images and so on. And the second book, and so that could have changed their content and sort of the message of the images. And the second book is called Engineers of the Soul, and the subtitle is The Grandiose Propaganda of Stalin's Russia, and the author is Frank Westerman, who is a Dutch journalist. And he completed research when he moved to Russia for a few years, to Moscow, on the history of Soviet writing and filmmaking. And he was fascinated by the writers in the 30s documenting their work, and it was called socialist realism. And so it was often a really glorified picture of what life was really like. So they're really both really interesting.
That's fascinating. Well, yeah. I'm sorry, we ran out of time, but those titles are both available in the library's catalog. So we want to thank you, Sev, for sharing your summer reading. Thanks to Vanessa Bizareth from the Windsor Park branch for coming down to talk to us. And of course, thanks to our hardworking volunteers, Federico Pacheco and Sev Corson, who make the show possible. Next week on the show, we have Kalila Magnum to talk about the Manchaca Road branch and the community. Stay tuned for Rock and Roll Pest Control. Thanks for listening to Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show. Special thanks to our producer, DJ Harris, and to the musicians who composed and performed our original theme song: Andrew Noble on violin, Kirk Duvall on guitar, and Mike Wheat on percussion. And thanks to you, our listeners. Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show, airs Wednesday afternoons at 2:30 on Co-op 91.7 FM and koop.org. If you catch us mid-show, full episodes and other details can be found at library.austintexas.gov/volumes.